As we walk through the life of Elisha, we can see how God has called him and is now shaping him to be God's man for the hour. He is being prepared, he is learning to be bold, and as we see today in the story that we're going to look at, Elisha is operating with compassion. 2 Kings chapter 4, it says this, "The wife of a man from the company of the prophets cried out to Elisha, 'Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that he revered the Lord. But now his creditor is coming to take my 2 boys as his slaves.' Elisha replied to her, 'How can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your house?' 'Your servant has nothing there at all,' she said, 'except a small jar of olive oil.' Elisha said, 'Go around and ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Don't ask for just a few. And then go inside and shut the door behind you and your sons. Pour oil into all the jars, and as each is filled, put it to one side.' She left him and shut the door behind her and her sons. And they brought the jars to her, and she kept pouring. When all the jars were full, she said to her son, 'Bring me another one.' But he replied, 'There is not a jar left.' And then the oil stopped flowing. She went and told the man of God, and he said, 'Now go, sell the oil and pay your debts. You and your sons can live on what is left.'" This was one of the most powerful miracles in Elisha's ministry, and it all happens because Elisha has compassion on this widow. Compassion starts with seeing people where they are. When she asks for help and when Elisha responds, his first question is, "What's in your house?" He asks for what she has, not for what she doesn't have. And he's inquiring because this is where God starts with all of us. Not with what we don't have, but with what we do have. For Moses, God asked, "What do you have in your hand?" Now, here's a man who had failed, who'd been tending sheep on the backside of the desert for 40 years, and the only thing that he has is a simple shepherd's staff. And that is exactly the staff that God used to lead the people of Israel out of bondage and into the promised land. Over and over again, God will simply ask us, "What is in your hand right now?" And he will take us as we are. And he starts there. When we have compassion toward others, we accept where people are at, and we let God begin the work in them as they are, not as we wish them to be, not as we think they ought to be or they should be, but right as they are. Compassion sees people where they are right now, but compassion also helps people believe for something better. Elisha instructs the widow to shut the door behind her. Now, it might be a simple picture, but I believe that it's powerful what he's doing. Because for the widow, everyone in the outside world had literally seen her as a hopeless case. No one has been willing to help her, or else she wouldn't be asking Elisha for the help that she needed. And what Elisha says to her is, shut the door. Basically, cut out all the rest of this noise so that God can work in you. Compassion helps people believe for something better. Whatever negative messages, whatever ideas that she'd been receiving from everybody else that kind of were the seeds of her hopelessness, Elisha says, shut the door on that and let God begin to work, because God has something better. Many of us, many of you, are living with the weight of your yesterdays. You're living with the weight of other people's opinions, living with the weight of all of these different all the different noise from around you. And I will say this, why are you living in yesterday's sorrow? Why are you living from other people's opinions? There is something powerful when we shut the door, when we break up with our yesterdays, and some of you might need to do that today. You might need to hold a funeral for those labels, those experiences, even those losses that are still defining you, and you might need to just lay them to rest so you can walk freely into the present grace of God's purposes for your life. Listen, shut the door and watch how God begins to stir up hope in your heart for what He can do next. Compassion helps people to believe for something better, but then it also empowers others to great faith. When Elisha tells the woman, shut the door and begin to pour this oil, get as many jars, this is almost an absurd thing for him to ask of her. And yet, I want you to see she obeys. She is operating with a great faith. And not only does she gather those jars together, but the Bible says she keeps pouring this oil out. She keeps pouring this oil out. There have been many seasons where I have been tempted to stop pouring. I don't know about you. There have been seasons where I'm tired, or I'm confused or disoriented, and I want to stop pouring. But what compassion, when there is compassion at work toward me, or maybe through me to others, it inspires a deeper faith, a greater faith. And I want you to see this. What happens when she pours out this last bit of olive oil that she has, everything that she pours out ends up coming back to her as a blessing, not just for her, but for others as well. God has taken many times over simple acts of pouring out and has made something powerful out of those acts. Whatever God calls you to pour out, in the end, you actually get to keep. Elisha knew that this widow's not enough would be the making of her miracle. And this is how God works in our life today. Whatever you feel like is not enough today might just be the seeds or the beginnings of God's miracle for your future.